4 Americans, including a Southern California couple, are shot to death by pirates.
And the death toll rises from that devastating earthquake in New Zealand, coming up on Newswaves 32.
News, weather, sports. Newswaves 32.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Ben Van Horn.
And I'm Courtney Bryan, and you're watching Newswaves 32.
It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime for a retired Marina Del Rey couple, sailing their yacht around the world. It turned into a nightmare when Somali pirates captured the yacht and ended in tragedy this morning when their captors shot and killed the couple along with their 2 friends. The journey started out as a group yacht tour in Thailand. On board were John and Scott Adam of Marina Del Rey, along with Phyllis McKay and Bob Riggle of Seattle. But when the 4 American tourists on board the Quest left Mumbai, India, they took a different path. It turned out to be a deadly path. Last Friday, the yacht was hijacked by a group of Somali pirates off the coast of Oman. A U.S. Navy warship trailed the yacht, and negotiations were underway to free the Americans when gunfire was heard coming from the yacht. U.S. forces boarded the yacht and found all 4 hostages had been shot.
The U.S. sailors discovered that all 4 hostages had been shot by their captors. Despite immediate steps to provide life-saving care, all 4 of the American hostages died of their wounds.
With all the incidences of pirating in that area, why did the Adams leave their group and sail alone into pirate-infested waters? A friend of the couple thinks it had to do with the climate.
Jean was having a very difficult time with the heat of the tropics and wanted to get to European waters and see Europe by boat. This is a very common route for European boats in particular to take as the last leg to get home.
In all, 19 Somali pirates were involved in the hijacking of the yacht Quest. The surviving 15 are in U.S. custody. This is the first time the U.S. citizens have been killed in the wave of pirate attacks that have been plaguing the Indian Ocean for years.
With his country teetering on the edge of a people's revolt, a defiant Muammar Gaddafi said today that he would not step down and vowed to die a martyr in his country. The Libyan leader addressed the country on state-run TV for over an hour today. He blamed the unrest on outside foreign forces and threatened that anyone found cooperating with them would be executed. Libyan TV showed video of what it claimed to be Gaddafi supporters rallying in Tripoli's main square during the speech. But witnesses say the crowd was actually made up of people who were physically dragged into the streets to watch the speech, and students from a nearby college who were offered free master's degrees if they went to the square and showed support for Gaddafi. This is the 8th straight day of protests against the 68-year-old strongman whose grip on power appears to be weakening after nearly 42 years. In eastern Libya, groups of armed people in civilian clothing were guarding the streets as opposition leaders seemed to be in firm control. Much of Libya's oil is exported from the east, and a local leader says they will leverage that to end Gaddafi's rule.
Unless this massacre is stopped immediately, we are going to stop the oil.
Burn it. We burn it.
Either we burn it or we just stop exporting it.
Oil prices continue to skyrocket over the political upheaval as prices spiked more than 6% to close at over $95 a barrel. The uncertainty also led to a sharp sell-off in U.S. stocks, with the 3 major indexes posting their biggest one-day drops of the year, including a 178-point loss on the Dow Jones.
And St. Petersburg, Florida is mourning the loss of yet another police officer killed in the line of duty. It's the 3rd officer to be killed in the past month, and the city's mayor says there's a lot of pain.
Well, I'm not going to lie, this city has been through hell. You know, it took 30 years to lose an officer in the line of duty, and within 30 days it's happened again.
The search continues for the shooter.
2 dead bodies that were unearthed at an alleged drug house in Lenox belong to James and Gabriella Stein, and the house renter, Marcus Lamelli, could be charged with their murders as early as tomorrow. A tip from Lamelli's girlfriend, Jenny Salazar, led authorities to the discovery of James Stein's body earlier today. Salazar is also being held under charges of false imprisonment. And Santa Ana police and the Secret Service are working together in order to catch who wrote the threatening graffiti targeting Governor Jerry and President Obama. The threatening art turned up in the 3200 block of Greenville Street. Police say one suspect has already been arrested. A spate of threatening graffiti has been plaguing the city in recent weeks.
An accident on Pepperdine's Seaver Drive had morning commuters scrambling to get to class on time. At around 8 o'clock this morning, a black Audi made an illegal U-turn while driving up Seaver and was T-boned by a green Jeep Grand Cherokee. No one was seriously injured, but the driver of the Audi was taken to the hospital. There have been many accidents on Seaver Drive similar to this one in past years.
Car prowlings are on the rise in Malibu. While much of what a thief might swipe from your car is replaceable, Newswaves 32's Ali Barrera has a warning tonight that should make you think twice about what you leave in your car in plain sight.
Just walking around a local parking lot, Officer Dante Aubrey sees what a would-be thief would see. Valuables left out in the open, bags of clothing, and personal documents. It's something a lot of us do.
But the newest concern isn't just about things that are visible, it's also what's in your glove box. Personal information on your registration and insurance cards can get swiped as well.
Identity theft is like really big right now with the internet and all that type of stuff. You don't want them to have access to anything that has your social security number or just your first and last name, where you live. And
with this newest crime of opportunity happening more and more, it's best to be prepared, especially with the rise in car burglaries in the Malibu area. Officer Aubrey offers an easy tip that can keep your personal belongings and personal information safe from prowlers.
Yeah, just make sure you keep everything out of plain sight, and that way your car won't be a target.
I'm taking that advice and cleaning out my car. For Newswaves 32, I'm Ali Barrera.
Now, you are required by law to carry registration and insurance with you in your vehicle. So to protect yourself from identity theft, police suggest taking those two documents with you when you leave your car unattended.
And coming up, people frantically search for survivors of yesterday's earthquake in New Zealand. Plus, Malibu is looking for help to make PCH safer. Those stories and more coming up on Newswaves 32. We'll be right back.
The search continues for survivors of yesterday's devastating earthquake in Christchurch, New Zealand. Much of the city lay in ruins today. The 6.3 magnitude quake struck Christchurch during the lunch hour, toppling buildings, buckling streets, and causing multiple deaths as people were crushed by falling debris. Citizens turned rescue workers as they frantically dug through the rubble to free those who were trapped. Dazed and bleeding residents wandered through streets strewn with debris and piles of concrete. The city's airport is closed and the streets are jammed as people try to flee. Cellular communication is spotty and lines are overloading as people around the world try to check in with family and friends in Christchurch. Yesterday's was the latest in a series of quakes to hit southern New Zealand, starting with a 7.1 magnitude quake back in September. It's believed that structural damage resulting from that quake made the city's buildings more susceptible to collapse this time. The death toll is said to be at least 65, but officials say it will surely be higher once all the wreckage is cleared.
And while developments in Libya dominate the headlines, unrest continues in other Middle East countries. A crush of protesters, at least 30,000 strong, covered the streets of Bahrain's capital city today. It is the largest demonstration yet in that country. Bahrain's King Hamad has been trying to appease the protesters, first by releasing a number of political prisoners, and then by promising a national dialogue about reforms.
In Venezuela, students ended a 23-day hunger strike with singing and hugging. The 82 students were demanding the release of several political prisoners and more humane treatment of all prisoners. The government finally agreed to free 7 prisoners and to meet with the students to discuss their demands. Want to save the wear and tear on your knees? Hear what doctors recommend in tonight's Health Watch segment. And M.A. Alford will be here with a look at your weather forecast for the rest of the week when Newswaves 32 returns.
Hi, I'm Shannon Adkins here with your health news. Some food for thought for parents tonight. It's possible that too much processed food at a young age may lower a child's IQ. At the top of the list is fast food. Researchers in Britain found that when 3-year-olds ate too much fatty, sugary, and processed food, their IQs were lower when they reached the age of 8. Doctors say the study results are something to keep in mind, but that many other variables are also in play at these ages. There's also been a lot of debate over when to start feeding a baby solid foods. A new study in next month's issue of Pediatrics magazine suggests the later you start solid foods, the better. The study finds that formula-fed babies who were given solid foods before the age of 4 months had a 6 times higher risk of being obese by the age of 3. That wasn't the case for babies who were breastfed for at least the first 4 months. Back to you, Ben.
Now, we whine a lot about here when the rain clogs our streets, but it's nothing like they're dealing with in northern Iowa right now. Ice jams forced waters from the Des Moines River to overflow, creating this scene at Fort Dodge. The water rose so quickly that many families didn't have time to save any of their belongings as they fled from their homes. Flood warnings remain in effect in several parts of the state. And speaking of weather that's going crazy out in Iowa, we have weather that's, well, starting to calm down here in Malibu. We have M.A. Alford here to tell us more. M.A.?
Well, surprise, surprise, it's another bright, beaming, beautiful day in Malibu. With humidity low and high pressure over the area, you can expect the dry heat to continue through the week. Currently in Malibu, it's 64 degrees, and tonight it will drop to the mid-40s to 50s. The humidity is at 38%, and the dew point is at 39 degrees. The barometric pressure reached 29.93 inches and is pretty steady, which indicates that the nice weather is going to continue. Regional temps have Calabasas and Agora Hills at 72 degrees, and Santa Monica and Thousand Oaks at a cooler 64 degrees. If we look at the satellite image, we'll notice that the high pressure system overhead will continue through the week, keeping temperatures relatively high and very clear and sunny. Few weak gusts of winds are expected to brush through the area, most often through the mornings. And we have a shocking 5-day weather forecast for you. You're going to be surprised with this one. Tonight, the weather will drop to the mid-40s to 50s as the sun sets. Tomorrow will be bright and sunny with the highs in the mid-70s and lows in the mid-50s. Thursday will be, wow, also bright and sunny with a cloud in the sky, without a cloud in the sky, and highs in the mid-70s and lows in the 50s. Friday will also be, Courtney, drum roll please, sunny with high of 70 and low of 49. Finally, Saturday will roll around with also highs of 70 and a low of 49 degrees. This is what we'll call in the Midwest some nice porch-sitting, iced tea drinking weather, so get your sunglasses out and enjoy the rest of the week.
Lindsay Lohan books her first post-rehab acting job. We've got that story coming up. And Izzy Loya has the details of this past weekend's roller coaster ride for Pepperdine sports fans. We'll be right back. The big event from this weekend was the Pepperdine-Gonzaga basketball game. Now, finally, to give us the highlights, we have our own sports mastermind, Izzy Loya. Izzy?
Thanks a lot, Ben. It was a big weekend for Pepperdine sports. It was undoubtedly the biggest game of the year for the men's basketball team. A lot of people thought that this was the year the Waves could take down the evil Gonzaga Bulldogs. But was it meant to be? We take you to the action right now. Joshua Lowry intercepts a pass and takes it down before dishing it off to Lauren Jackson, who goes up for the easy layup. Waves cut the lead to 6 in the first half, but the Zags answer back with Sam Downer. He spins, gives a little sky hook, and Gonzaga leads at the half 33-20. But in the second half, Michael Thompson hits a 3 in his final game at Firestone Fieldhouse. Thompson led the Waves with 9 points. Other senior Gus Clardy also made an impact this week with 8 points and 5 rebounds. But it wasn't meant to be for the Waves as David Stockton, John Stockton's little son, hits a jumper and the Zags go on to win the big game 63-44. The rest of the season is on the road for the Waves, but their game on Wednesday is right down the road, right down the 405 against LMU. Tip-off is at 8, but if you can't make it to the game, ESPNU is going to be telecasting the game. Now on to the ladies. The women's basketball team hoped they could be the ones to take down the big bad Gonzaga Bulldogs in their home court in Spokane. but it wasn't meant to be in the cards as the Bulldogs won 73-59. Jasmine Jackson led the Waves, scoring with 16, but it wasn't enough to stop the resilient Zags. The Lady Waves come back home to finish off the regular season with 3 games in Firestone Fieldhouse, one starting on Saturday against LMU. It was a happier scene at the Firestone Fieldhouse for the Pepperdine men's volleyball team, who upset the #1 ranked and undefeated USC Trojans. Let's take it to the action. Torres tries to spike it, but it comes right back to Mike McMahon's face to keep the play going. Then Maurice Torres comes up with a huge save on the USC tip. The ball sails to Bo Vandewey, who spikes it off the SC blocker. Pepperdine won the first set 25-23. Third set, Corey Ricks entered the Pepperdine record books when he notched his 1,000th career kill. But the Trojans were quick to rain on his parade with winning 2 straight sets. But the Waves hung tough and managed to force a 5th and deciding set and had the match point against the undefeated Trojans.
Casey Clare's going to bump that up. Matt Pollock's going to set that up for...
And that's it. That is it. Waves win. Waves win. Waves win. They have defeated #1 ranked USC. This is the first time in their last 3 meetings, and the Trojans have been defeated by the Pepperdine Waves, and Firestone Fieldhouse is going crazy.
There's some energy in that house. The Waves will be back in action this weekend, first taking on Pacific on Friday, then Saturday versus the Stanford Cardinal. And both games will be in Firestone Fieldhouse, so check that out. And the Pepperdine tennis teams are playing this weekend. The women's team upset #22 Texas, but couldn't pull it off against 5th-ranked Cal. And the men beat Boise State at home, but suffered a tough loss to those Trojans. Both teams are back in action in a couple weeks. The women will serve it up at home while the men take their talents down south to Alabama. And finally, the swim and dive season is coming to an end, unfortunately, and the dive team will head off to the PCSC Championships in Long Beach. Competition begins tomorrow morning and goes until Saturday, and the team is hoping to improve on their 4th place finish last year. That's all we got for sports, Ben.
Thank you, Izzy. One of the most exciting things I have ever seen in Firestone Fieldhouse, that volleyball game, really makes me excited to be a Wave.
And no one gave the Waves a chance in that one. USC was #1 and hadn't lost a game all season. It was a great game.
Pepperdine fans, don't leave Firestone Fieldhouse early. You never know what's going to happen.
Could the LA area soon have another NBA team? The Sacramento Kings are in talks to move that franchise to Anaheim. But if not, basketball fans in Sacramento have nothing to say about it. They are lining up to buy tickets to their next home game and have started a Save the Kings campaign on social media sites. We'll just have to wait and see if it's enough to keep their team from moving. And in entertainment, Lilo might be turning in her jail cell for a movie set. Christine Broyhill is here with the details. Christine.
That's right, Courtney. She could be trading it in, and it looks like Lindsay Lohan is ready to make her comeback. Radar Online reports that Lilo has booked her first post-rehab acting gig, a movie called Escaping the Game. It's about celebrities who escape their fame by faking their own deaths and starting over on a remote island. But first, she has to get through a court hearing tomorrow that could send her to the slammer for violating parole. And Netflix subscribers will be happy to know that CBS is joining the world of Netflix. Starting in April, Netflix users will be able to add select shows from CBS to the database of television shows and movies that users can watch instantly for $7.99 a month. Select shows from CBS include episodes from the popular drama Medium and the summer series Flashpoint. Full seasons from classic sitcoms such as Frasier, Family Ties, and Cheers will also be available. And could the world's most famous heiress be ready to settle down? Paris Hilton and boyfriend Cy Waits were spotted in a luxury jewelry store this past weekend. Hilton's rep said the two lovebirds were looking for a special gift for Paris's 30th birthday, but a source told People.com the two were scoping out engagement rings. And finally, it looks like the movie Unknown was not unknown to moviegoers. The Liam Neeson action thriller was number one at the box office, racking up almost $22 million in ticket sales. Sci-fi flick I Am Number 4 turned out to be number 2 with $19.5 million. And Disney animated Romeo and Juliet came out in the third place.
Well, I think that there are a lot of Liam Neeson fans out there who
There
are
are.
absolutely thrilled to see that movie, and I can't wait.
Paris Hilton's 30?
I know, right?
What?
Time flies.
Well, she's not going to stay young forever, I guess. Thanks, Christine.
You're welcome.
Now, I know there are some of you out there that claim to be Facebook addicts, but odds are good you're not as obsessed as this man. In Egypt, a new father is so proud of the role the social network played in his country's revolution that he named his newborn baby girl Facebook. Egyptian newspaper Al Haram is reporting the girl's full name is Facebook Jamal Ibrahim. The paper also says that family and friends are happy with the name. Protesters used Facebook and other websites to organize and spread the word about protests during the recent revolutions. Now, I'm just wondering if the, youngster will have trouble playing, tag or, getting tag. Will she have friends?
She'll have a Facebook profile.
Right?
Facebook.
What if he names his could he name his next daughter Twitter? And then he has to follow her around, right?
Good one.
I'm sorry.
That's it for the Tuesday edition of Newswaves 32. I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Benjamin Van Horn. Be sure to catch our next broadcast this Thursday at 5 o'clock. From all of us here at Newswaves 32, have a good evening.